Clarissa Shields gets drugged after she says she is going to die an undefeated boxer. But when all else fails, why not just bring up that imaginary $8 million deal to save face? Welcome back to the channel where we pull back the curtain on the most delusional, chaotic, and unhinged celebrity crashouts happening on the internet today. If you thought the celebrity boxing world was already a circus, wait until you see what the self-proclaimed GWOT has been up to on Twitter and Instagram, because she is completely spinning out of control. We are talking about a major public meltdown that has everyone asking if she has officially lost her mind, lost her money, or both. The trigger fingers are up and active again, the subliminal memes are dropping, and the backlash is absolutely brutal. Either she is unofficially retiring from the ring because she knows the walls are closing in, or she is basically admitting that every future match she has is completely rigged. Is the money gone? Are the promoters ghosting her? And why is she chasing drama instead of securing her legacy? Stay tuned because we are diving deep into the fake wealth, the broken promises, and the ultimate downfall of an undefeated champion. The internet is literally on fire right now because Clarissa Shields has decided to go on yet another unhinged, unfiltered social media rampage, and honey, it is giving pure, unadulterated desperation. When we look at the current state of women's boxing, there is supposed to be a level of prestige, a level of unmatched athletic excellence, but instead we are being treated to a daily reality show starring a champion who seems more concerned with fighting Twitter trolls than defending her actual titles. The controversy reached an absolute fever pitch when she took to her X account, formerly known as Twitter, to drop a statement so arrogant, so completely disconnected from reality, that the entire boxing community collectively gasped before immediately dragging her from one side of the digital pavement to the other. She typed out, with the utmost confidence, that she was going to die undefeated, stamping it with all the aggressive emojis she could find, completely oblivious to the fact that she was setting herself up for one of the biggest public relations disasters of her career. The immediate backlash was swift and merciless because you cannot claim you are going to die undefeated unless you are planning to never step foot in a professional ring ever again. Or you are subtly hinting that the entire sport is fixed. People immediately swarmed her mentions, telling her to read her Bible, telling her to humble herself, and pointing out that speaking on your own mortality with that much arrogance is a one-way ticket to a cosmic reality check. But instead of taking a step back, instead of realizing that maybe, just maybe, she should have drafted that tweet and left it in her notes, Clarissa did what she always does, she crashed out. She started replying to random accounts with 0 followers, calling people stupid, laughing through the digital pain, and trying to explain that she meant she would be an old woman and still hold her record. But the damage was already done. The psychological downward spiral we are witnessing right now is not just about one silly tweet. It is the accumulation of months of built-up jealousy, financial pressure, and the terrifying realization that her rival, Alicia Baumgardner, is capturing the hearts, the minds, and the lucrative marketing budgets of the mainstream world while Clarissa is left playing internet detective. This entire situation exposes a massive, gaping wound in Clarissa's professional career. And it all traces back to the infamous, highly publicized, yet heavily scrutinized $8 million deal with Win Records and Salida Promotions. For months, Clarissa and her inner circle, including the ever-vocal Pap, have been parading this $8 million figure around the internet like a golden shield, using it as a weapon to silence any critic who dares to question her star power or her drawing ability. They told us there was a $3 million signing bonus. They told us there were multiple fights lined up. They even told us there was a rap album in the works, which, let us be completely honest, nobody on God's green earth is going to stream or purchase except for maybe her absolute closest friends. But if you have an $8 million deal, and if you walked away with a $3 million check just for putting pen to paper, why on earth are you moving like someone whose bank account is currently in the negative? The math is simply not mathing. And the public is starting to notice that the luxury lifestyle she claims to live looks a lot more like a carefully constructed illusion. When you look at her actual payouts, like her last major bout against Frank Cruz DAZN back in February, she barely cleared $1 million before taxes, before management fees, before the promoters took their massive cuts. So when you break down the actual liquid cash available to her, that $8 million deal starts looking more like a distant, heavily conditional promotional promise, rather than actual money sitting in a bank vault. Yet, whenever someone points out that her arenas are not selling out, or that the mainstream media is completely ignoring her accomplishments, she immediately runs to her phone to tweet out the receipt of a deal that nobody has actually seen manifest in her real life. It is a defense mechanism born out of extreme insecurity, and it becomes even more transparent when you look at how she spends her free time. Instead of training, instead of participating in elite promotional tours, or doing the actual work required to fulfill a multi-million-dollar athletic contract, she is spotted running around the streets of New York, acting like a low-budget spy, chasing after a married man. The internet investigators have been watching her every single move, and the reports coming from anonymous insiders within her own camp paint a picture of absolute chaos and financial strain. Rumors have been circulating rapidly that the lavish lifestyle Clarissa once flaunted, the endless heavy gold chains, the designer bracelets, the $90,000 jewelry pieces she used to flash in every single interview, have mysteriously vanished from her person. For the past several weeks, she has been spotted doing interviews and making public appearances completely bare-necked, with none of that signature ice on her wrists, leading people to speculate that her close associate Pap may have taken those very same assets and pawned them off to fund his notorious, out-of-control gambling habits. You cannot make this stuff up, because while she is online trying to convince the world that she is a wealthy, untouchable queen of the sport, the visual evidence suggests she is experiencing a severe lifestyle downgrade. She was caught by paparazzi wearing the exact same black dress to a high-profile concert in New York, then wearing that exact same dress to a museum event, and then packing that very same dress into her luggage to fly all the way out to California. If you are a multi-millionaire athlete with an $8 million contract, you do not repeat the exact same casual outfit across multiple states and multiple high-profile events within the span of a single week, unless you literally cannot afford a stylist or a new wardrobe. To make matters worse, her shopping trip in California, which she tried to hype up as a major luxury spending spree, resulted in her walking out of the stores with nothing but a few basic sports bras and pairs of leggings, which she then attempted to style with a formal skirt and high heels for a red carpet appearance. It was an absolute fashion tragedy, a complete disaster that screamed struggle from miles away, yet she expected her fans to believe this was elite, high-fashion behavior. She even spent a ridiculous amount of time trying to convince her Instagram followers that a set of luxury luggage she was flaunting was a lavish surprise gift from her married companion, only for eyewitnesses to report that she was the one dragging her own bags through the airport, looking exhausted, stressed, and completely overwhelmed by the reality of her situation. What makes this entire downfall so incredibly tragic yet highly entertaining is the fact that her main promoters at Salida Promotions seem completely done with her antics, to the point where they are actively freezing her out of their current marketing plans. We are currently sitting at the very end of May, heading directly into the summer season, and Salida Promotions has been rolling out announcement after announcement for their upcoming schedule, including a major fight card set for June 14th. They are blasting graphics, selling tickets, and promoting every single fighter on their roster, but when it comes to Clarissa Shields, there is nothing but absolute, deafening silence. This is the exact opposite of what Clarissa promised her fans just a few days ago during one of her infamous, late-night Instagram live sessions, where she sat in front of the camera with her bright blue Flint water braids, screaming at her viewers and promising that a massive, career-defining fight announcement was dropping in a matter of days. Well, those days have come and gone, the calendar pages are turning, and the only thing dropping is her credibility, because the promotion company is acting like she does not even exist. Insiders close to the promotional company have leaked information, suggesting that the executives are completely exhausted by her constant social media controversies, her unpredictable public behavior, and her inability to sell pay-per-view tickets without resorting to extreme rage baiting. They are realizing that investing millions of dollars into a fighter who spends more time screaming on the internet than drawing an actual audience is a losing business model, especially when her rival is out here securing major mainstream sponsorships, modeling contracts, and legitimate athletic respect. Clarissa is fully aware that her grip on the top spot is slipping, and that pressure is causing her to lash out at anyone and everyone who questions her authority, creating a toxic cycle of online validation and public humiliation that she simply cannot escape. The deeper you look into this entire situation, the more the illusion completely shatters, and the public is left looking at a house of cards ready to collapse at any moment. People are analyzing her social media patterns like investigators at a crime scene, and the conclusions they are reaching are absolutely damning. When a public figure, especially an elite world champion, spends their precious time trading insults with random internet trolls instead of curating a brand, you know something behind closed doors is going terribly wrong. Fans are starting to ask the hard questions that her team is desperately trying to suppress, like where is the proof of the actual liquid cash from this supposed multi-million-dollar deal? If the money was flowing the way she claims on her timelines, she would not be engaging in low-level internet warfare to validate her existence. The reality is that true wealth moves in silence, but in this case, the noise is absolutely deafening, and it is a noise born out of pure panic. Rumors are swirling that the contract she keeps bragging about is heavily milestone-dependent, meaning she does not see those big numbers unless she draws major pay-per-view audiences, which we all know she is struggling to do. To understand how deep this financial and personal crisis goes, we have to look at the inner workings of her camp and the company she keeps. For months, people have been side-eyeing her association with Win Records and the characters surrounding that entity, particularly Pap, whose reputation in the industry has always been sketchy at best. Insiders have dropped hints that the grand promises made to Clarissa were nothing more than a marketing ploy to build hype around a failing venture. And now that the chickens are coming home to roost, the financial strain is becoming impossible to hide. The visual evidence of her disappearing luxury items tells a story that no public relations statement can clean up. When you go from flashing custom diamond pieces and heavy gold chains in every media scrum to showing up completely bare, looking plain and dressed in recycled outfits, the public does not even need a leaked document to know the money is tight. The internet has been having an absolute field day tracking her wardrobe, pointing out that her sudden lack of styling options is a clear indicator that the funds are dry. Chasing a married man across state lines, spending hours checking his location, and showing up to events looking mismatched and disheveled is not the behavior of a woman who is secure in her bag or her career. It is the behavior of someone who is deeply distracted, emotionally volatile, and trying to find validation in all the wrong places, because her professional life is currently in limbo. The absolute comedy of this entire situation is how she tries to spin her personal struggles as some sort of elite, untouchable lifestyle to her remaining followers. She posted a video trying to show off a new set of high-end luggage, implying that her mysterious, married benefactor had spoiled her with a luxury gift, but the internet immediately caught her in the lie. Eyewitnesses at the airport reported seeing her struggle with her own bags, looking stressed, unkempt, and without a single member of an entourage or a security detail in sight. For a self-proclaimed global superstar who claims to have an $8 million deal, moving through public spaces like a regular, exhausted traveler with no professional backing is a massive red flag. The narrative she is desperately trying to sell online is completely detached from the physical reality people are witnessing on the streets. Her critics are pointing out that instead of investing in her career, her training, or her brand longevity, she is wasting time and money playing detective in another woman's marriage, which has led to a massive wave of public embarrassment. The backlash under her posts has shifted from standard boxing critique to genuine mockery, with people openly laughing at her styling choices, her relationship drama, and her complete lack of self-awareness. But the real trouble, the absolute anchor dragging her down right now, is her relationship with Salida Promotions and the boxing executives who actually control her scheduling. While Clarissa is online claiming that she is the undisputed queen who dictates terms, the promotional company is moving forward like she is a ghost. Their promotional rollout for the summer season has been massive, featuring fight cards, undercard announcements, and ticket sales for multiple events. Yet her name is nowhere to be found on any official graphic. This completely contradicts her own public statements where she proudly claimed a massive fight announcement was coming to silence all the haters. Days have turned into weeks, and the only thing the public is getting from her promoters is crickets, leaving fans to believe that she has been quietly put on ice due to her unpredictable and toxic behavior. High-level executives do not want to risk millions of promotional dollars on an athlete who might have a public meltdown or get caught up in an embarrassing street drama at any given second. The contrast between her online arrogance and her actual professional stagnation is wider than it has ever been, and as the pressure builds, her social media behavior is only getting more chaotic. The panic in her camp is palpable because they know that without a major television network or a massive promotional push, that $8 million contract is just a piece of paper with no real value. This is why whenever the criticism gets too loud, she instinctively reaches for her phone to tweet about her undefeated record and her past achievements, completely failing to realize that the boxing world moves fast and nobody cares what you did yesterday if you are a liability today. Her latest tweet about dying undefeated was the ultimate act of overcompensation, a desperate attempt to remind the world of her power when her reality is looking incredibly weak. But the internet refused to buy the hype, immediately turning her words into a meme and questioning the legitimacy of a fighter who has to constantly remind people that she is winning. The narrative has completely shifted from her boxing skills to her mental stability and her financial security, and no amount of AI-generated Barbie photos or aggressive replies can change the fact that she is losing control of the story. As the digital walls continue to close in on her, the cracks in her pristine, undefeated armor are becoming impossible to ignore, and the public is watching her unravel in real time. Every single defensive tweet she posts, every late-night live stream where she screams at the audience, and every recycled outfit she wears is just more fuel for the fire. The boxing community is beginning to realize that the GWOT might actually be broke, single, and completely abandoned by the people who promised to take her to the moon. The grand illusion of the $8 million deal has dissolved into a messy reality of pawn jewelry, relationship stalking, and promotional isolation, leaving Clarissa Shields standing alone in the middle of a digital ring with no one left to fight but herself. The financial panic behind the scenes is reaching a boiling point, and the desperation is dripping off every single post she makes. When you pull back the curtain on these alleged multi-million-dollar sports contracts, you quickly realize that the flashy press releases are often just a grand illusion designed to keep up appearances. The industry insiders are whispering that the lack of any official fight date on the summer schedule is a direct result of audit demands and contract renegotiations, because the numbers simply do not justify the payouts. If an athlete is truly sitting on millions of dollars of liquid cash, they do not show up to high-profile media events looking completely unstyled, wearing sportswear as formal wear, and recycling garments across multiple coast-to-coast trips. The public is no longer buying the narrative of the wealthy, untouchable champion, because the street-level reality tells a completely different story of budget constraints, missing assets, and a massive lifestyle downgrade. The heavy gold chains that used to define her public persona have completely vanished, and the internet investigators are convinced that those custom pieces were quietly handed over to cover mounting debts and gambling losses within her immediate circle. The embarrassment is compounding daily because instead of locking herself in a world-class training camp to prepare for a legitimate title defense, she is wasting her remaining energy playing a desperate game of cat and mouse in the personal lives of others. Eyewitnesses in New York have leaked stories of her lurking around hotels and tracking locations, moving more like a frantic reality television star looking for a storyline than an elite pound-for-pound boxing champion. This chaotic personal behavior is the ultimate distraction from a collapsing career, a smokescreen intended to keep her followers focused on messy relationship drama rather than the fact that her promotional backing is completely evaporating. While she is busy posting cryptic song lyrics and subliminal messages on her Instagram stories, the rest of the boxing world is moving forward at lightning speed. Major television networks and global streaming platforms are signing massive, lucrative deals with fighters who maintain a professional image, leaving Clarissa isolated in her own echo chamber of internet rage and defensive rants. The psychological toll of watching her rivals secure the spotlight, the magazine covers, and the high-fashion endorsements is driving her completely over the edge. This is why we are seeing this sudden, bizarre pivot into AI-generated cartoon graphics and forced glamorous photo shoots that look completely unnatural and entirely desperate. She is trying to force a narrative of beauty, wealth, and mainstream appeal that she hasn't actually built in the real world. And the internet is mercilessly calling her out for the blatant hypocrisy. Critics are flooding her comment sections to point out that true star power cannot be faked with filters, digital enhancements, or aggressive text walls. The fact that she feels compelled to respond to almost every single negative comment proves that the criticism is hitting a raw nerve, exposing the deep-seated insecurities that she tries to hide behind her past athletic achievements. You cannot live in the past when the present moment is demanding financial accountability and professional stability, two things that seem completely vacant from her camp right now. To make matters worse, the silence from her promotional team is starting to look a lot like a permanent freeze-out rather than a temporary scheduling delay. When a promotion company refuses to even acknowledge a fighter's existence during a massive summer marketing rollout, it sends a clear signal to the entire sports industry that the fighter has become a major liability. High-level corporate sponsors do not want their brands associated with late-night internet meltdowns, street-level tracking scandals, and unhinged rants about mortality and rigged matches. The commercial viability of her brand is tanking in real time. And without mainstream corporate backing, the grand promises of an $8 million payout are completely dead in the water. The financial structure of her deal is crumbling because the pay-per-view numbers have never backed up her social media claims, and the executives are finally putting their feet down, refusing to throw good money after bad. The ultimate tragedy of this entire downfall is that she genuinely believes she can bully the public into respecting her by constantly shouting about her undefeated record. She fails to understand that the audience respects consistency, professionalism, and genuine status, not loud-mouthed arrogance that is completely contradicted by a visible financial struggle. The narrative of her being the greatest of all time has completely dissolved into a cautionary tale about the dangers of believing your own hype while ignoring the practical realities of business and branding. Every time she reaches for her phone to type out another defensive tweet, she is simply digging her own professional grave a little bit deeper, providing her critics with endless ammunition and alienating the few loyal fans she has left. The illusion has been completely shattered, the receipts have been analyzed, and the public has reached a unanimous verdict. As the final weeks of May come to a close, the reality of her situation is becoming undeniable even to her most delusional supporters. The missing jewelry, the repeated outfits, the public tracking scandals, and the absolute lack of any upcoming fight promotional material all point to a career that is rapidly running out of time and out of options. The self-proclaimed queen of boxing is standing alone in an empty arena of her own making, shouting into the digital void about a multi-million-dollar deal that feels more like a myth than a reality. The curtain has been pulled back completely, exposing a messy, chaotic, and deeply insecure individual who is completely incapable of handling the pressure of her fading stardom. There is no public relations team big enough to spin this disaster, no promotional campaign strong enough to restore her credibility, and no amount of internet trolling that can change the fact that the reign is officially over. That is the absolute bottom line on this entire, chaotic situation. And the reality is looking incredibly grim for the self-proclaimed kingpin of the division. The curtain has been pulled back completely, the financial illusions have evaporated, and we are left looking at a legendary career unraveling in real time over missing jewelry, recycled wardrobe choices, and late-night internet rants. But now I want to hear from each and every single one of you down in the comments section below. Do you think this $8 million contract was nothing more than a massive public relations stunt to keep her relevant? Or is there still a chance she steps back into the ring this summer to prove all the critics wrong? Is the lack of a fight announcement a sign of a permanent promotional freeze-out? Or is she just completely distracted by all this personal relationship drama happening across state lines? Don't hold back, let me know your raw thoughts, your theories, and your predictions down below. If you want to stay ahead of the game and get the absolute latest, unfiltered breakdowns on your favorite celebrities before anyone else drops them, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel right now. Turn on those notifications so you never miss a single update because the truth always comes out, and we are just getting started.